Want to create e-learning that actually gets people thinking with interactions, role plays, and activities that go beyond that boring click to reveal content, but you don't have the time to learn a whole new platform? I get it. We're all really busy. We want something quick and easy. Well, meet iSpring. iSpring Suite is an add-on for PowerPoint that lets you transform your regular slides into interactive e-learning, complete with quizzes, dialogue simulations, and branching scenarios. You can choose from built-in templates so you don't have to start from scratch each time. And if you'd like a little help with creating the content itself, iSpring Cloud's AI assistant can generate full lessons, quizzes, and even role plays that you can copy straight into your PowerPoint project, or you can use iSpring Cloud as a standalone course. Today I'll show you how to use iSpring Cloud AI to create course content. I'll also create some content that will bring straight into PowerPoint with iSpring Suite to build interactions and role plays. On this channel, I explore AI tools that make online course creation so much easier. So hit subscribe and the bell button so you don't miss the next tool that could save you hours. Let's start with iSpring Cloud AI. So here we are on my dashboard in iSpring Cloud. Let's go straight into creating a brand new page. Now you may have seen courses like this before that basically goes through it like a scrollable course. And you might have some interactions. You then can click a button to continue, and then you continue down that page. So on LMSs, you can have an option where the e-learning pops up, and then you see the normal PowerPoint standard slide. And that's usually traditional e-learning that we've done in an authoring tool, such as iSpring Suite, Articulate, Adobe Captivate. But you can also have a course that opens up within the LMS, not in a new tab, and it's a scrollable course. You might be more familiar with these on Kajabi or Thinkific or platforms like those where you scroll through a lesson. You might also see them on platforms like Moodle or Blackboard where you have content that you scroll through. You can use either one. It depends on your audience, what you're looking for. There's no right or wrong. But here you can create those standalone courses that you can then publish. Or you can also create the content using the AI on this page that you can then put into the iSpring Suite in PowerPoint. So you can put it into your e-learning course for more interactive e-learning. So we're going to start here and we're going to use the AI to create that standalone course. I'm going to go straight in using the AI. So we can press space for AI like it suggests, or if we just click here as well, there's that plus button and we have AI. Now we can ask AI, we can generate questions, or we can generate an image. Now I'm going to use all three of these. We're going to start with ask AI, and then we're going to generate images as well for this course. So let's go in and ask AI. I have got a prompt here. So we're going to create a training module called Customer Service Essentials 5 Golden Rules. I think that customer service is great for this example because we're all quite familiar with customer service. And then I have some, not rules, but some expectations here. So I want an introduction, I want different sections, I want the 5 golden rules listed and how I want them listed, etc. I've also explained what tone I'm looking for as well. So let's go ahead and start that. Now you can see that it's going to populate everything in here, and then I can go in and add it into my course. So you can see that just in that time that I was explaining what it's going to do, it's already started building it for me. What we're going to be doing is once we've got this, I'm going to paste it in. We can then see what it looks like as a text version. And then I'm going to show you how we can quickly convert this text into more interactive content. So it's just not this content dump. It's actually a little bit easier for your learners to absorb. Okay, there we are. We have all of the content there. That's quite thorough for a short course, and that's exactly what my prompt was attempting to achieve. So we can ask AI to write more or improve that text if I don't like it, or we can just go straight in and click add there, and that adds it into my course here. I'm just going to copy this, and that's actually my title, Customer Service Essentials 5 Golden Rules. I'm just going to add a subtitle here. There we go, 5 golden rules. Easier to read, the 5 golden rules. We have my introduction, that's pretty straightforward. I'm just going to put in some line breaks here to make it easily digestible. And then we have the 5 golden rules. I'm going to insert here. If I want to insert something, I'm just going to go to the end of the section that I want to insert after, click enter, and then my plus button appears. And you can see here that I've got all these different types of content that I can add. So if we can see the different categories here, these first ones here are all different types of ways we can display text. Then we have dividers and continue buttons, which I'm actually looking for this example. Then we have content. So rather than text, we have images, videos, audio, so a little bit more interaction. And then down the bottom here, we have your interactive activities, flashcards, accordions, some exercises, and a quiz. Now, as I said, I want to put in a continue button. I want this to say start course, and I would like the text to be, the color to be my brand color. The text is white. It's automatically converted that for me. That's great. And I'm happy with that. Don't want to change anything here. I can change the margins if I would like. We've got top margin and bottom margin if I want them to be the same, which would make sense. There we go, I can do that, or I can make them a little bit smaller as well. Better. And now I go on to the 5 golden rules. Now I would like to change this list here. Bulleted list does make sense, but I don't like the way that it's displayed. So I can change this to a numbered list, but I also don't like the way that these numbers are displayed. So what I can do instead is by having all of this highlighted and clicking on these buttons here, I can actually change how this text is displayed, which is really great. I don't need to keep the text that they've provided. I can customize it. So I would like to use a numbered list here. You might say, well, Kat, why did you just change the bulleted list to numbered list and change into numbered list again? Well, it's different, like you can see here. This is what I like. It's a little bit more clear. I don't know. I like it. I like the design of it. What I would like to do is change the colors of these numbers so they're consistent with my branding. Now, we cannot change them in these settings here, but if I go up to the main settings here and I go into my design, here I can change what that looks like. I'm going to go into custom and I'm going to change it here. So then this should change it across all of my activities, so I don't have to keep changing it. And there we go. So that's where that sits. Okay, let's keep going down so you can start to get a feel of how this is starting to look. What I really want to show you is this part here, delving deeper into the rules. You can see here that I've asked the AI to create the 5 rules, give an explanation, and give an example of each one. So I was expecting this list to appear. Now, I don't want it to be a list like this. What I would prefer is, I think you might already know, I want to change this into, let's go with tabs. We can go with an accordion or we can go with tabs. The difference is that accordion is going to be like a frequently asked question list, whereas the tabs is going to be across the top. So I'm going to go with tabs across the top. And you can see that it's automatically converted all of my text there. Now I can click on this option here to move the tabs around, copy that whole tab and its content, or delete it. I can also, if I click on it here, I can make some updates on the top here. I can add a new tab if I wanted more than 5. I can change what the tabs look like if I wanted them to be buttons or if I wanted them to be underlined. I think I prefer the tabs. No, actually I prefer the buttons. Like always, we've got these 3 dots and we can play with more settings here. So we've got the block, so that's the entire block, which we just updated. Then we've got the tabs at the top, which I can change to buttons, tabs, what I just did, and I can change how they look if I want them more curved or almost circles. I like the curved. I can make them bigger or smaller. I like them smaller. Yeah, I don't like how they, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't like how they, yeah, I prefer that one there. I can change the alignment. You can see everything I change here. The accent color is perfect. That's what I was looking for. Happy with the text color. Inactive tabs. Happy with that. Don't want to change anything there. Excellent. That's it. I think one thing I would like to change is just this. I would like it to be consistent with the page because it was just a bit too big there. Now, if I wanted to change that to accordion, I can go in and change it to accordion straight away. So we can see what it looks like. I actually like the accordion better, to be honest, because we can see the list straight away. Now we've also got a scenario. In this scenario here, we've got a scenario of what's happening between Sarah and John. Now let's say that we wanted to turn this into an activity where the student needs to put the scenario in the correct order. So what order does everything happen in? So we're just going to click enter here and I'm going to add in an exercise down the bottom. When I add on an exercise, it automatically gives me a multiple choice question, which I can change to a multiple response. I don't want that one. Instead, I'm going to click on new question here. And on this new question, I have got these different types of activities. We're going to go with sequence. And here's our sequence here. Now we've got our first question, which I don't want, so I'm going to remove that. Now, for now, I'm just going to click done because I want to copy all of this text in here. Now, it'll be great if I can convert this, but we can't. We can only use it for text. But I'm going to copy this, and now let's go in and edit. Now, I'm just going to copy and paste this. I know it's quite a bit. We can also update correct and incorrect feedback. Let's have a look at what that looks like. Imagine a customer, Sarah, that's our first one, contacts our support team because her online order hasn't arrived. I think that's right. Let's try again. Anyway, you get the idea. You can move these around. Now, this type of example might be a little bit easier with something a little bit clearer. I was just using this example to show you how you can convert the text into a snippet. Now, I want to add a picture in somewhere. Let's go into here. I think after the golden rules, that'll be great. So I'm going to click enter and plus AI assistant, and I'm going to go into generate an image. Now I'm going to ask for the AI to improve my very short prompt. That's huge. That's a huge difference there. Okay, I'm happy with that. I'm not even going to read it. I'm sure it's great. Let's have a look. Let's go with vector. We're going to go with the landscape, and I would like transparent. Let's generate. That seems pretty easy so far, but let's have a look at what the results look like, because that's going to tell us a whole lot. Okay, I'm really happy with that result. I think it exactly displays what we're looking for. There's no weird faces. I guess that's more in realistic photos, but I'm really happy with that. So I'm just going to insert that. I can also download it. That would be great if I was going to go and use it in a PowerPoint, but let's just go ahead and insert that. Now this will be really great as well for my cover image that I can add at the top. One last thing I want to show you here is that with this image, you can actually turn this straight into a hotspot or a marker image as well, so people can click and learn more about it. Obviously in this image, it might not make sense, but that will be a really good way that you can generate an image, specifically asking the AI that it's going to be a hotspot image, so you want specific things. This will be really great if you're looking at workplace health and safety, for example, that you want hazards to be there. But this is a really cool tool. Actually, better than some of the other platforms I've used to generate images. On the top here, we have our settings. Now in our settings, these are very straightforward. I don't want to go through all of them because that's not the purpose of our video today. Our purpose of our video is showing you how you can create the e-learning. But in here, we can go through how someone can go through the course if it's free, which means they can move through it however they want, or if it's going to be sequential, they have to go through it in a specific order. It also allows you to set scoring as well for your quizzes. You can also set the outline that you have. Now it depends on where you're going to put this standalone course as to what you want people to see. If they're going to just see this course and that's it, it just sits on their page, right? Then you want to have a chapter outline or a nested outline so they can see themselves moving through the course. However, if this is going to sit within another course, let's say, for example, Thinkific or Kajabi, where you already have that menu available on the player of the course, then you don't want to add it in. Okay, so it depends where it's going to sit. We briefly looked at the design before. You can also export this, or you can share it as well. You can share it for feedback. You can share it for people to go through it. Maybe it's just a course that you want people to have a look at. They don't need to log in. You don't need to track information. Or you can export into SCORM, or you can export it for the Spring LMS or the iSpring Cloud as well. Okay, so I did play around with it a little bit more than I expected to, but I hope that you have a nice overview of how you can create content using the AI in iSpring Cloud and then update it to make it a little bit more visually appealing and also make it interactive and a little bit easier for your students to digest. Now we're going to be continuing using iCloud, but I'm going to use it to specifically generate questions that I need that we're then going to bring over into PowerPoint using the iSpring suite. And we're going to look at a quiz, an interaction, and a role play. So I'm just going to close this one and let's create a whole new page so I don't populate that any further. I'm going to create a whole new page. And I'm just going to call this content for PowerPoint. Now we're going to start off with a quiz. So let's go in and ask AI, and I'm just going to paste. And here is my other prompt. This is creating a quiz, and it's going to have 5 questions, but they're all going to be different types of questions so that we can have a look at what we can do in the PowerPoint. And I just gone through and added tone, etc. And just some things I wanted. So I wanted to make sure that there's feedback for correct and incorrect. I also find that a lot of times when AI is creating these quizzes, that the wrong answer is so obvious and the right answer is also so obvious. So I've made sure that it's not obvious. All right, I think they are my 5 questions. Like we did before, we add this in. I'm not even going to read this because it's not important to me what the questions are. It's important to me about how we make it look in PowerPoint. So let's go and have a look at what it looks like in PowerPoint now. Now in PowerPoint, when you start with iSpring Suite, you are going to receive this Welcome to iSpring Suite, very short, very concise tutorial that is exactly what you need. I don't think you need any more. That just proves to be how easy it is to manage this. So it just goes through how to use iSpring Suite. I'm not going to go through it, but I am going to just go after this quiz here, and we're going to look at how to add in a quiz. So very straightforward, we add a quiz. So easy. Now there's 2 types of quizzes that you can add. You can add in a quiz that's a graded quiz or a survey quiz. We're going to go with a graded quiz. The difference between them is the quiz is graded, so you get results. The survey has no results, and that might be asking people how they felt through the course. You can already see that there's an example here for me. And if we were to go straight into preview, we can see what this sample quiz looks like. First, we have an introduction. And then we go start quiz, and then we have our quiz. So it's pretty straightforward. All right, now let's go out of that. What we're going to look at here is updating the intro, the questions, and the results. In my quiz here, you can see that I've got question groups here. So I can go in and add a question group, and you might have heard the word question bank before. Exactly the same thing. With my question group, I might want it to be question group A, for example. I can include all the questions, I can select a random, or I can not use any questions. So let's go and add my questions in here. When I want to add a question, it's super simple. Go in and add a question here, and there's 14 different question types. So you can see that I've asked to use 5 of them with my AI. Now the first one was a multiple choice. So let's go in and add that multiple choice. And I'm just going to copy this over. What is the best initial response when a customer begins to complain about a product issue? And I'm just going to add these in here. This is just a matter of copying and pasting, nothing too complex here at all. Now for this, I have feedback. The correct answer is acknowledge their complaint. This helps. Okay. So I did want to have positive and negative feedback. That's one thing that I didn't get, but let's just keep that. That's right. You choose the correct response. This helps to validate their feelings. Now I can add a score here, 10 for getting it right, and I can also go into -5 for getting it wrong. I also have my slide options over here, which I can change this question type, whether it's graded or whether it's a survey. I can also talk about if the feedback, branch, and score is by result, or it might be by choice. That's if depending which one they chose. Now this might be if you've got the correct answer, a maybe correct answer, a maybe wrong answer, or an obviously wrong answer. You might want to change the branching based on what they select, or you might just want to keep it by result, saying, okay, they either get it right or they get it wrong. Not important about their choice. Again, with the scoring, you can also go by choice. So this might be, for example, I've done this before where we have a 10, and then for our maybes, and then we have our completely wrong. So up to you completely. You can also say how many attempts they've got to answer this particular question. You can also put a time limit on it, and you can shuffle the answers. Shuffling the answers is going to shuffle these ones, so when they do come back to answer the question again, it's not going to be in the same order. Let's have a look at fill in the blank. Fill in the blanks, this one here. We're going to have an instructional text here, and then our body of our text here. Complete the sentence with the appropriate word. And here's my sentence. To effectively handle a customer complaint, it's important to show dink and understanding. Now I want to insert blank there. Now the word that we wanted to use is empathy. All right, empathy is there. That's perfect. That's what I wanted. Now over in the slide options here, I'm going to select answers are case sensitive. So if someone writes a capital E, that's fine. Now, a couple of little things here on the quiz is that we've got properties and player. Properties is where you set up the rules of the quiz. So the quiz scoring, the question properties, the question lists. Okay, so we can say if it's a passing score, if there's a grading scale, if there's none. I'm going to keep it as a passing score and it's going to be 80%. So here we have our scoring. Now we looked at how we can update it per question, but if you have exactly the same scoring for every single question, you can come in here and add it in here. Same for everything. If you have restrictions, rather than updating it for every single slide, if it's going to be the same, you can update them here. And then we also have feedback. Now you can update this feedback so you have that generic feedback for each slide. Okay, here we have our question list. These are our question groups. We can select from all groups, from several random groups, from selected groups. Okay, so we want 2 of the 2. And here I just want 2 of 3 and 2 of 4. And shuffle quiz questions. Okay, so what that means is that when someone does this quiz, they're going to have 4 questions all up. 2 will be from group 1 and 2 will be from group 3. When they go to do those questions will always be shuffled. So it won't always be 1 and 2 that they'll see in that order. They'll always be moved around. And then we've got reporting. So if you want a report to be sent to a particular user when they complete the quiz. The player, like I mentioned, is how you make it look all pretty. So in the player here, we can change what it looks like on the screen. So you can see that I'm selecting how many questions they have to answer, their points, their scores down the bottom here. I can see the question list up to, which I don't need them to see the question list. The quiz background, I'm going to keep it like that. And yeah, we can play around with any of those. Navigation, if they have the submit button, all of this navigation you can play around with as well. We've got the color scheme as well. Now this quiz is already in the presentation, and so I can update the settings of the presentation, and I'll refer to that as well. Rather than updating the color scheme in every single activity, it's much better if we update the color scheme of the entire presentation. And when you do update a color scheme, you can rename them here. So you can have custom schemes per clients that you're working on or per project, whatever it might be. So then when you come into PowerPoint, you can always change that color scheme based on what you're working on. And then we can also update our text. Now this is updating the wording of the text here, which you can also change in different languages as well. And that's really useful when you're using the translation feature. And then we can go on and preview it. So let's preview the quiz. Remember, we don't have an introduction here. We just go straight into it. So true. A slice of toast has fewer calories than a slice of bread. Oh, false. I didn't read it. Okay. Continue. Which of the following foods are sources of fibers? I think all of them are. Correct. Complete the sentence. Empathy. You can see how this wasn't the order of what we built it in. So you can see that that's working for us as well. What is the... We already know that answer. Perfect. And submit. Done. All right, good. That's how we do a quiz, and save and return to the course. And you would then see my quiz is updated here. Okay, there's my quiz there. That was quite thorough going through a quiz because we're going through all the different settings. Now let's quickly go through how to create an interaction and then how to create a role play. And we won't go thoroughly into all of those settings because they're very similar. Let's take a look. Now let's go and create a step-by-step format. I'm going to go first into my PowerPoint here, and I'm going to ask AI to create a step-by-step format. Okay, more content than I need, but it's fine. We can copy what we want across. Okay, so back over here in our PowerPoint, let's go in and add an interaction. Just like adding a quiz, we add an interaction. When we add an interaction, these are how someone will interact with the screen. So when we click on new interaction, you would see that there's different types here. Now we've got processes, we've got catalogs like what we looked at before, accordions and tabs. We've got hotspots, looking at an image, labeled graphics, and a hierarchy as well. We're going to go in with this steps here. Now you can see here that we've got the same things. We've got properties, we've got color schemes. Very, very similar. Here I would like to add an introduction And the introduction is going to be the text that I just added. Now we'll go in and we're going to copy everything directly from here. So we've got step 1. Okay, that's step 1. Then we'll go into step 2. Let's have a look at where we add a step in here. Very straightforward, add another step. Now I want to also add in my summary here. Click on summary and add in my summary there. Easy, I'm just going to put another space in there. I can make any format to the text, I'm happy with that. I can insert images, characters. I'm just going to keep this very simple. So if I was to go in and preview that, I can preview this step, preview from the beginning. If I just click on the preview button, it's going to preview from the beginning. Okay, I can click close or I can go straight in here. Stay calm. Again, I can click on these buttons here or I can also click here. Okay, go on to the next and there's my summary. Very easy. All right, save and return to course. Now this might be what you've been waiting for, but we're going to look into how to create a role play. Now this one's not as simple as the other ones, but it's still pretty simple. It's quite easy to create a role play. We just need to know what each area means and then we can set it up. Let's go in and create the content that we want by using AI. So I'm just going to copy in my prompt. And let's see what it comes up with. So I'm just saying that I want a short example. I want 2 or 3 interactions. Okay, so here it's given me what I need and I'm just going to add that in. So we do exactly the same here. We're going to go into iSpring Suite and we're going to add a role play in. We're going to add in a new role play. Okay, so here we have a completely blank canvas, but I don't want you to be overwhelmed by this canvas. It is super easy to add in a role play. That's what iSpring is all about, making e-learning super easy to author and to create. So let's go into this new scene here. Now in here, we have to think that we've got the character that's going to say something, and that's what the student's going to see, the character saying something, and then we have options for a message. Okay, so it's just a one-off response, or we have an option for replies, and then the student would select one of those replies. Based on those replies, we have the next activity. We then choose our characters and our backgrounds, and we set up some properties. So let's go in to my content here, and this is the response. We're going to have an angry customer. Let's go and choose our images, our character. I'm going to go ahead with someone that's not in a business outfit nor in a uniform. I'm going to go with this woman here. And I've already said that I want her to be angry. Okay, I don't want her to be unhappy. I want her to be angry. And then from my background, I can select from this list here and go through them. But what I like to do is add from content library. And it's just a different way to show the built-in images. So here I'm going to say that I want a store. Because I'm using a real person, I want to go with a photo. And now she's talking about a package. Let's go with electronics and insert. Now I'm just going to close that one and there's my background. In our properties, I want this to be red. We're angry. Okay. Now let's add in the replies. Before I do, you can see that there's a little red flag that started here, and that means that this scene is the starting scene, and that's what we want. Okay, let's add the replies. We've got 2 replies that we want to choose from. We've got a good one and we've got a bad one. Add a reply. Now these X's here obviously is to delete that. These links are what are important. So if I drag this and I bring it over here, I'm saying that I want a new scene if someone selects that response. And the scene we want, employee chooses the good response. We want this to be her response. Thank you for checking. I really appreciate your help in sorting this out. So she's normal, or maybe she's happy. Let's go to happy. Now here is where I said before that we don't have replies. So we don't have an option for the student. We just have a message. So this is a message here. And in these images here, you can see that it's automatically used what I had before. Excellent. And it's still keeping this. I'm going to change this to positive. Now I'll go back here to my first question and I'll click and drag here. And now here's my new scene. Now I'm not sure if you saw this. I'm just going to show you again. if I was to delete this, you can see that there's a little warning sign up here, and this is saying that something's wrong with that question, and that is because there's no link to a reply. Now, if I click and drag this, as soon as I let go of it, you would see that warning disappears. Okay, so just to know, if you see that warning, there's something wrong with the question. If you hover over it, it tells you what's wrong. Okay, so let's go back into my content. This is if they choose a poor response. We're going to still be angry. We're still on the angry side. We've got all of our images, and we're going to add a message here. Close. Now with this one, I'm wondering if we can go back up here so we can link back, so they have to go through the question again. I'm going to add a new scene in here, and this scene is my final outcomes, and that's it. Done. Let's preview this and have a look at what it looks like. I ordered a package a week ago, and it was supposed to arrive yesterday, but it's still not here. Okay, we know that she's angry. It's not my fault the package is late. That's not helpful at all. I need someone to actually assist me, not just let me wait. I apologize. We continue. We come back. We click that's correct. She's happy. Continue. And then we've got this and finish. Excellent. Now there's something that I would like to change here. I'm going to come back into this one, and the properties, I'm going to make this orange, the first one, and she's unhappy. And then the second one, when she gets that response, she's angry. I'm going to save and return that to the course, and done. And just like before, when we looked at our AI assistant in iSpring Cloud, we can also publish this. Okay, so we will just publish it. We can publish it to SCORM. We can publish for preview. We can publish to iSpring Cloud. There's lots of different things that we can publish. Now I can keep on going through here, but let's just keep it as that. We've looked at two tools that work perfectly together. You can use iSpring Cloud's AI to draft lessons, quizzes, and role plays in minutes, or you can even create a course that you can publish as a standalone scrollable course. And then with iSpring Suite in PowerPoint, you can take that same content that you created with the AI assistant and turn it into fully interactive e-learning without learning a whole new platform. You could see how easy that was. Now, if you would like me to go through any other examples more in depth, I'm happy to do so. Just let me know in the comments below. And if you would like to see how another AI tool can help you create courses even faster, check out this video on using the Safety Culture app to generate an entire course in minutes. Until next time, happy course creating!